Tonight from Fenway Park, with the pomp and pageantry of opening day complete, the Red Sox and the Orioles play Game 2 of the three-game series that starts the first homestand of 2016. The Sox trying to break up the Orioles. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Yawkey Way. Great to have you along. I'm Dave O'Brien, alongside Red Sox Hall of Famer Jerry Remy and Remdog. A week into the season, we know this about the Red Sox rotation. Somebody has got to start it. Somebody has got to get it going. It was not the case yesterday with David Price. It's up to Clay Buchholz tonight.
Exactly right, Dave. You know, the Red Sox offense has been very good. Their defense has been very good, but the pitching right now has been sporadic, and they need somebody to step forward. We all thought it was going to be yesterday with David Price on the mound. It was not his day yesterday. He's going to have his day. But Clay Buchholz really has to come up, because then you get a very powerful 1-2 combination. Of course, last time out, he really struggled with his location in that game against Cleveland. Now, one thing that's a positive thing for Buchholz, the fact that he's had good success in his career against the Baltimore Orioles, and he's also been very effective last year. His ERA last year against Baltimore was way under 3, so that's a good sign for him tonight. But the key for him is to get ahead of hitters. And last time he was kind of picking around a little bit at the strike zone, fell behind a number of guys. Tonight he's going to get ahead of hitters and try to put them away.
And trying to beat an undefeated team. The Orioles are the remaining undefeated club in all of Major League Baseball at 6-0. Will Clay Buchholz be the first one to hang an L on the Orioles? Join us for the lineups and the first pitch from Fenway in just a moment. Red Sox Baseball on NESN is brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By high-quality Scion vehicles by Toyota. By DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. By Plainridge Park Casino, the official sponsor of winning. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Turning into a very pretty night here at Fenway Park after lots of rain today. All set here for Game 2 of the series between the Sox and the Orioles. Let's bring in Gary Striewski now. Gary, a lot of talk about Pablo Sandoval and what role he may have in the days to come. We know he's doing a lot of sitting right now.
Yeah, pretty much, OB, and it looks like that's what it's going to stay for the time being. Listen, we're 7 games into the season. Everybody is excited with this offense and the way the Red Sox are playing right now, though you can't avoid the topic that is one of your most highly paid guys sitting on the bench day in, day out. Today, another example of that, though. Earlier today, John Farrell addressing that exact topic, saying that, listen, we're going to try to incorporate Pablo. It might be today, it might be down the road, but he still is going to be an integral part of the 2016 Red Sox.
A change of role will be a challenge for Pablo. The thing that we continue to encourage and outline to him is his early work, his pregame work is going to be critical. We communicate with him inside a game when those opportunities are going to present in a pinch hit type situation. Spot start him occasionally to keep him in the flow of things, but this is a different spot for him. Travis Shaw won the job, and you know Pablo's going to play I think a key role and contribute at some point this season, and for the time being, it is a difficult spot and a different spot for Pablo to be in.
He's right about how difficult it is, too, for guys used to starting. Speaking of starters, here's Clay Buchholz against an Oriole team he has fared quite well against in the past. He's had some great memories. He's on the bump tonight in Game 2 against the Birds. Late today, it's starting to set now here over Fenway Park. Red Sox and the Orioles in the middle game of the 3-game series and Game 2 of a 10-game homestand. Clay Buchholz deep in thought right now, about to take to the hill in search of his first win of the season. 10-5 with a 3.65 ERA in his career against Baltimore. That includes a no-hitter, and he's 5-3 against the Orioles with a 2.61 ERA here at Fenway Park. There's a stiff wind blowing out to right field. So if you're a left-hand hitter, it's the first thing you notice, Jerry.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than yesterday where that wind was blowing straight out towards center field. Today it is left to right, and left-handed hitters look at that flag and say, yeah, I'm trying to pull the ball tonight a little bit. But we'll see how it plays out as the game goes on. It has chilled off a little bit at the ballpark. It was warmer this afternoon. Once it cleared, got a little bit chilly, and the wind switched. And just waiting now for the Red Sox to take a field, and here they come.
Before the game, it was Xander Bogaerts getting his Silver Slugger. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Right now, the Orioles lineup. It's brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers, and it'll be Joey Rickard leading it off, the rookie in center field. Manny Machado at third. Chris Davis, the hero of yesterday. He's at first base at that mammoth home run in the 9th inning. Mark Trumbo in right. Matt Wieters the catcher. Pedro Alvarez is new. He's the DH. J.J. Hardy is the shortstop with Jonathan Scope at second base. And Ryan Flaherty is in left field and batting ninth against Clay Buchholz. We talked about that no-hitter. September 1 of 07, he tossed the 17th official no-hitter in Red Sox history, and it came against the Orioles in his second major league appearance.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they have made 3 errors in the 6 games that they've played. Travis Shaw will be at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Hanley Ramirez, the first baseman, left to right. Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Mookie Betts, and Blake Swihart doing the catching for Buchholz.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now. CB Buckner has the calls behind home plate. Jim Reynolds at first, Manny Gonzalez at second, and Fielding Culbreth has moved from behind the plate down to third base. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP is presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Look at tonight's weather now, and it's vastly improved. Brought to you by Benjamin Moore, the official paint of the Boston Red Sox. Right now, 51 degrees. The wind is out to right field at about 10 miles an hour, and at times gusting much harder than that. Good forecast for tonight and for the next several days here at Fenway. Well, we mentioned this earlier. Xander Bogaerts just got himself a nice piece of hardware. His Silver Slugger Award, presented moments ago after hitting .320 last year, that goes to the #1 offensive player at his position.
And right out there with him is hitting coach Chili Davis, and that was what an award that is. That's a great award for Xander to win. Not only did he play great defense, as you mentioned, but the fact that he was able to win that Silver Slugger, and his teammates certainly appreciate the work that he did for him a year ago.
Well, this Baltimore team undefeated at 6-0. So Clay Buchholz trying to beat them. And here's Rickard to lead things off. He takes a strike. He opened up yesterday's game with a double. He would also walk and score. He's a good-looking young hitter and hitting .409. A rookie who is a Rule 5 draft pick from the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't know if this will happen to Joey Rickard, Remdog, but baseball history is littered with hitters who opened up a season hitting like .500 over a couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden they're in the minors 3 weeks later. The gun and the get at first base. Well done there by Travis Shaw for the first out.
That's a great stop right there for Travis Shaw. He had to cover an awful lot of ground going to his left. You see where Bogaerts is, and Shaw takes it right away from him, spins, and makes that throw to first base. That's a tough play on the first play of the game. You got to show range, you got to show agility and spinning around, and you got to throw a strong arm to first base to get the out.
On target, one man gone. Manny Machado will be next.
Back to your point about Rickard, coming to the big leagues and having success. It happens so often. Pitchers start to find holes, and you got to make adjustments.
Yeah, funny how that happens. Down and away for a ball on Machado. He's off to a great start, hitting .458 with 3 home runs. He is 3 for 12 in his career against Clay. And moves him back. Remember, he got hit by a pitch yesterday, as you described it, on the bell bottom.
The bell bottom of his uniform pants. See how baggy they wear him down the bottom now, and that's exactly where he got hit.
It was one of the 4 times he was on base. And he pops that one up in foul ground back behind the plate. Swihart searching for room near the netting, and he's got it. Made a fine play right up into the bunting left over from opening day.
Now, 2 very good defensive plays to start this game off. Travis Shaw first at third base, and now Swihart. Remember, we talked about that wind. Well, I think that wind might have kept the ball in the field of play that time. It was hit above the stand, so it got a little kickback, and that helped Blake Swihart be able to make the play.
2 men out for the Orioles. I don't know about you. I'm dying to describe a 1-2-3 inning.
We haven't had many of those, have we?
Not many right out of the gate. Here's Davis, who blasted that mammoth home run. Was a game winner yesterday for Craig Kimbrell. 426 feet, 3-run homer. Big shift on for him as he takes one down and in.
See a shift now with the count going to 2-0. They'll take Bogaerts and put him back at shortstop with the threat of a bunt going away by Davis. Any bunt down that line, they'll move Travis Shaw to that second base position now.
And the 2-0 to the slugger. Downstairs for a ball. I would bet any amount of money. I'm not a betting man, but I'd have bet any amount of money that what we saw yesterday with those guys, Price and Kimbrell, winding up in a loss, may only happen, maybe not again the rest of the season.
I would certainly agree with you. I said that post game, that the fact that when those guys are in a game, when Price is making a start and Kimbrell's closing it out, very unlikely that you're going to lose that ball game. Yesterday it happened, but you're right, Dave. That may not happen again the rest of the season where you have that combination losing a ball game.
Well, Davis is on with a walk, and that'll send up Mark Trumbo, who hit a 3-run homer off of David Price yesterday. This is an Oriole team that will hit a ton of home runs. 2 down and a man on. And a strike, back to his home run stroke yesterday.
Taking it the other way. Got the fastball on the outside part of the plate from David Price and took it up over the Red Sox bullpen for the home run.
Trumbo grew up just a couple of minutes away from the Angel Stadium, the Big A in Anaheim, where he would make his major league debut as an Angel. Davis on with 2 down, just getting started. And the 0-1. Made a good pitch there to count 0-2.
Hey, good changeup by Buchholz. First one he's thrown in the game tonight. And it was a good one down and out of the strike zone, and it certainly had Trumbo off balance. There you see the changeup grip, and you see the location of it moving back toward the plate, but down and out of the zone.
He allowed just 6 home runs last year in 18 starts. Did a very good job keeping it in the yard. The 0-2 fastball in, but that was at 93. That's a good sign.
Yeah, also a good sign that he comes inside like that and off the plate. Didn't leave it on the inside part of the plate, something that Trumbo probably could have drove, but an 0-2 pitch that's in tight.
One-two on the way, and a line shot down the line, giving chase. Brock Holt. He gets to it in front of the warning track, and they're going to be safe at first and second. So nothing like a 1-2-3 first inning, and here come the Orioles again.
Yeah, Trumbo that time getting a changeup from Buchholz, and it didn't do what Clay wanted it to do. It stayed up in the zone. There's the changeup grip. You see how high it is, just below the belt, and that becomes a very good pitch to hit. Holt quickly over to cut the ball off and leave men at first and second.
So that'll bring up Matt Wieters doing the catching tonight, hitting right at 200 without a home run. He struck out 4 times yesterday. The Orioles would win 9-7. Wieters' lifetime not a lot of luck against Clay. He is 6 for 30. Batting average of 200 for the switch hitter. He'll look at strike one, says C.B. Buckner. The Orioles took the season series from the Sox last year 11-8, but the Red Sox own the all-time series 543-472. Davis at second, Trumbo at first. Line down the right field line. He socked it foul. He really got around on it.
That's a cut fastball that I think Clay probably wanted a little bit in closer to Wieters. It stayed on the inside part of the plate, but he's able to hook it foul, which is a good thing for the Red Sox. There's a cut fastball right there, and you can see the little tail brings it on the inside corner. Wieters out in front of it.
So 0-2. Buchholz trying to get out of this first inning after a 2-out walk and a single. And he does. He comes right back with a fastball to strike him out. He gets Wieters again. So 2 men left and nothing doing for the Orioles as the Red Sox come up for the first time tonight. Fenway, Red Sox about to see the right-hander Mike Wright for the first time here this season. Mookie Betts to lead things off. Last year, Wright was 3-5, an ERA over 6. Made his major league debut last May, and he would make 9 starts for the Orioles. He's a sinker slider guy.
Yeah, one of those starts coming against the Red Sox right here, or I should say in Baltimore. Only lasted 3 innings in that game.
First one in there for a strike on Mookie. Mr. Opening Day. 3 for 5 with a 2-run homer in the home opener yesterday. And he's now homered in all 4 openers of his young career. 2 at Fenway, 1 Philly, 1 in Cleveland.
And that's a pretty live fastball he just saw at 95 miles an hour on the outside part of the plate.
Dustin Pedroia on deck. 1-2 back to the home run in the 9th inning.
Well, Mookie Betts got things going late in the ball game for the Red Sox. As you can see right there, the line drive home run up into the monster seat, second row.
Lunging pop up down the right field line toward the stands. Trumbo over, but it's off into the seats.
That's a good job by Betts fouling that pitch off. That was pretty nasty. It was 96, and it was right on the outside corner. And he's able to make the contact to foul the ball off and get another chance. That's great location with good velocity.
We saw some hard throwers yesterday for Baltimore. Michael Givens, very impressive. Touching 98. Too high. Mike Wright, a 2-time winner of the Jim Palmer Minor League Pitcher of the Year award. Something off speed there at 77. And that runs it full. Jim Palmer, great pitcher, Hall of Famer, never allowed a grand slam in his entire career. As you look at Dave Wallace, pitching coach, he went. That's strike 3. Mookie could not contain himself, and he strikes out to start it. Sox lineup is brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Dustin Pedroia next, then Xander Bogaerts, David Ortiz, followed by Hanley Ramirez. Travis Shaw at third base with Brock Holt in left. Blake Swihart will do the catching at bat 8th, and Jackie Bradley Jr. is in center field and hitting 9th. Several Red Sox with outstanding careers against Baltimore. Dustin Pedroia, Brock Holt, Hanley Ramirez. Pedroia 325 lifetime against them. He's hitting 321 at the moment. And a strike.
And so far, Wright is wearing out that outside part of the plate against Mookie Betts, and first 2 pitches to Pedroia away.
The 1-1. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning. Right, 26 years old. He's from South Carolina. 6'6". He's a big kid. Poke foul out of play by Pedroia. Petey without a home run, but the last time he did hit a home run was September 16th last year at Baltimore. Bases empty, 1 away, first inning. Mr. Silver Slugger is on deck. Fouled away. That must be difficult to ship back home to Aruba. You need not only a big box, but you need a lot of that stuff. You know that.
What you can do, Dave?
Packing
is,
stuff.
You know, JetBlue goes down there. They go down a couple of flights a day, so you can just get a couple of seats for it.
Buy a seat, yeah.
Send it down and tell them to send it to Xander's house. Everybody knows where he lives.
You've been there. You've been to Aruba. You know exactly where he lives. Yeah, just strap it in a seat. Line drive and a base hit to right. So Dustin Pedroia on with 1 out in the first inning.
The Orioles defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They've had 4 errors in their 6 games. Manny Machado will be at third base. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. Jonathan Schoop at second. Chris Davis at first. Left to right, Ryan Flaherty getting his start because he hits Buchholz very well. Joey Rickard and Mark Trumbo in the outfield. Matt Wieters doing the catching for Wright.
Xander right now 231, but he has hit safely in 4 consecutive games. Last year 196 hits, third most in the American League. That's how you win a Silver Slugger. He was second in the American League batting race behind only Miguel Cabrera, and Xander was 22 years old when he did that. One away. That's in for a strike. You're right. He's wearing out that corner.
Yeah, he's staying away with just about everything. His fastball, that time the slider away from Bogaerts. They are shading Xander slightly to the opposite field.
The 1-1 fouled away. David Ortiz waiting in the on-deck area. And that wind continues to gust toward right. Here's the 1-2 from Mike Wright on the inside corner, and no argument from Xander. Strike 3, and they're 2 down.
Dave, you can see what pitching away does right there. It really cleared up the inside part of the plate. Bogaerts jumping back from that pitch, but they had seen so many pitches away that it was a total surprise when he come back to the inside corner.
There's a man who could certainly advise Xander Bogaerts on how to pack that Silver Slugger. Adam Jones right now not available for regular duty because of a ribcage injury. That one swatted foul back out of play by David. You saw the giveaways tonight. And how about Adam Jones wearing that? The Orioles star paying tribute to Big Papi, I guess.
I don't think he wants to see him add one on to that right now, but
big cut and a foul tip in the count. 0-2. That was that fastball.
Now David faced Wright twice. He's 2 for 2 in his career off him with 1 home run. That time throws the fastball up and away by Ortiz. The foul tip into the glove of Matt Wieters.
Pedroia leading with 2 away. Here's the 0-2. The storybook ending for another Ortiz clutch masterpiece was ready to be written yesterday. The 9th inning, Sox down 9-7, 2 on. David at the bat. Everybody in the ballpark was thinking the same thing. He wound up hitting into a double play. There's a high deep drive to right field. Backing up Trumbo. He lost it entirely, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's into the bullpen anyway. He had no idea where it was, but Big Papi did, and the Red Sox lead it 2-0. And off it comes. He took that off in a hurry.
Well, we mentioned earlier the breeze blowing out, and it's a perfect night for left-handed pull hitters, and Ortiz is certainly one of those. Now, that fastball was supposed to be inside. Instead, it stays up above the belt and right out over the plate. You can see Wieters move his glove, and Ortiz with a high home run. And you can see Trumbo, he had no idea where the baseball was. By the time he picked it up, it didn't matter.
Goodness gracious. So David with his 3rd home run of the season, and the Red Sox jump out in front off Mike Wright. That brings up Hanley. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience of every Sox homer this season. Speedway donates $500 to the Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you, pick up your Speedway rewards card, and start earning points today. Fly ball into right. Trumbo, an easier time on this one, and he makes the catch to retire the side. But David Ortiz gets all of his, and the Red Sox have the lead 2-0 after 1 at Fenway. '18th is Mookie Betts bobblehead night at Fenway. The first 15,000 fans in attendance receive a Mookie Betts bobblehead courtesy of Toyo Tires. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos or call 877-RED-SOX-9. Red Sox had 2-0 on the David Ortiz home run that had absolutely dazzled Trumbo in right field. It's not the first time in this series, Jerry, that he's been a little confused playing the outfield with the wind the way it's been blowing.
Yeah, I think, that time he lost it in the twilight, because right now it's about that time of night, and then of course with the wind blowing out in that direction too, made it twice as difficult. But he'd have run out of real estate anyway. You can see right there, they're looking at right now, it's a tough time of the night on any kind of pop up a fly ball. If you lose it off the bat, you generally don't pick it up.
Charged with an error in left field yesterday and also had trouble with a shot down the line. Pedro Alvarez here. He was a late pickup in spring training. Signed a 1-year deal with Baltimore on the 10th of March. Now 29 years old. He was an all-star not that long ago, back in 2013, when he hit 36 home runs for the Pirates. And Buchholz with a 2-1.
Red Sox in the shift against Alvarez. They've got Pedroia deep in the outfield grass. They've got Shore at second base side, and Bogaerts remains home at shortstop.
3-1 to Alvarez. He's another guy who can be dangerous if you pipe one, but that's too low, and ball 4. Back to Trumbo's troubles yesterday.
Now the ball game yesterday, in my opinion, I thought this should have been a ball for a center fielder to make. He got a late jump on it, but it seemed like it would have been easier for him coming in. Now Trumbo has to go toward the left field line, and he just can't catch up to that. He thought he was closer to the fence than he actually was, and headed into the slide. And then of course tonight, well, it didn't matter tonight because the ball was going out of the ballpark.
Yeah, no matter what. J.J. Hardy will step in, hitting 188, no homers yet. But he has hit 2 off of Clay in a .318 average against Buchholz. Clay has now walked 2 men in the first 2 innings. Making his second start of 2016. The first in Cleveland was a short one, a no decision. And what would be a 7-6 Red Sox defeat. He went 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned, and he walked 3. That game was slightly delayed by weather, and Clay thought that that was a factor in his preparation and why he wasn't sharp early on. That's what he said. Up and in to make it 2-0.
He just looked awfully uncomfortable at the start of that last game, and I don't know if it was because of the delay or not. That's what he said after the game, but he just did not get off to a good start in that ball game. He just had no location with his pitches.
High pop up into left field. Closing on it, Brock Holt. He has plenty of time to get there. Brock made a sensational play yesterday to turn a double play out of left field. Follow Red Sox baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment with game day, live game highlights, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. So a man out for Jonathan Schoop, the second baseman. He was 1 for 3 with an RBI double yesterday. And yet another Oriole who can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Right now, Clay Buchholz much better hitting his spots. They wanted that cut fastball to the outside part of the plate. That's exactly where he got it for strike one.
That one blew foul back up this way. It got into the radio booth next door, and the young intern Marty made the play.
Wow, he took that right away from Tim Neverett, didn't he? Where was Joe going? Was Joe going the other way?
I think my former partner was leaning the other way. I actually don't know if his name is Marty or not. Just gave him that.
He is now.
Shot into left center field, but it hangs up there for Jackie Bradley to make the catch. Out number 2. He looks like a Marty.
Yeah, well, he's Marty now. I mean, it's all over New England.
Forevermore.
Marty just made a great catch. How you doing, Marty?
Marty, my man.
You should put up a graphic right underneath him. This way he knows what his name is.
Good chance to say hello to Tim Neverett, the new radio voice, alongside the legendary Joe Castiglione.
There's Marty.
That is so unfair. We got to get his real name. Here's Ryan Flaherty taking one up and away. He is 0 for 4 on the season, but 7 for 18, 389 against Clay Buchholz. So he gets the start tonight in left field. Red Sox ahead 2-0 on a David Ortiz blast into the right field bullpen. And how many people came to the ballpark tonight? They bought their ticket to see exactly that.
Well, every time they come and see David Ortiz, you know, they're expecting the home run, and we kind of highlighted the wind at the beginning of the game, and you know, left-handed hitters like Ortiz look at that and they go, wow, that's what I like.
Inside corner for a called strike. Orioles a perfect 6-0. It's their best start in Orioles history, and according to the Elias Sports Bureau, the all-time franchise record for wins without a loss is 9-0. The St. Louis Browns doing that in 1944. So Buck Showalter's team on all cylinders right now. Alvarez leading at first. He walked to begin the inning. The 2-1 is spoiled back out of play. 2-2.
Yeah, Clay not happy with the location of that pitch. He wanted to go inside with that fastball. Instead, it kind of tailed out over the plate, but fortunately the ball fouled off.
Clay tonight trying to beat the Orioles for the 11th time in his career, trying to go 11-5 against Baltimore. There's been something of a good luck charm for him. And the 2-2. Fouled back again by Flaherty. Clay, of course, with a man on or runners on base. Very, very deliberate. As was David Price yesterday. No surprise for either one of those guys. He's not throwing a ton of strikes. 33 pitches, just 17 strikes so far. And there's another one inside under the hands. A groan from the crowd, but that did miss.
That's where he'd been trying to go on the 2 previous pitches, but it left him out over the plate. So this time he overthrows it a little bit and just missed the inside corner.
Well, now with 2 down and a full count, Alvarez will be running with the pitch from first base. Again, Clay's already walked 2 men. Looking for his second strikeout of the contest. And the 3-2 with a runner going. And in there, strike 3. On the curveball, he strikes him out. That was his best curveball so far tonight. 2-0 Red Sox in the second. Feels awfully good to say that. Red Sox on top here, 2-0 in the early going, and Travis Shaw to lead it off against Mike Wright. Then it'll be Brock Holt and Blake Swihart. Dustin Pedroia with a base hit and David Ortiz with a 2-run homer, and just like that, the Red Sox have the advantage against Wright and the Orioles. Travis hitting .278, no homers and RBI. 0 for 2 yesterday in the home opener, and just 1 for 26 for some reason against Baltimore in his young career. Do you have an opponent that was just going to eat your lunch all the time?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they pitched for the Baltimore Orioles. Jim Palmer.
They picked a good one there. A little lob shot and a backhander caught out of the air by Machado. Gently hit for the out.
We had Machado highlighted there when his position at shortstop, and that little blue. It's a good thing he was playing shallow because he was able to make the play on the soft line drive. That ball is sinking very quickly. It was a little trickier than it looked. A lot of spin coming off the bat at Travis Shaw.
2016 Red Sox season underway. Download the Sox schedule directly into your favorite calendar program. As Brock Holt gets in and takes a strike, just visit NESN.com/schedule and download today. Brock with 2 walks, 2 runs, and a terrific catch. He turned into a double play on Monday. Also a daring base running play that took about 37 minutes for the umpire Manny Gonzalez to determine whether he was out or safe. But he finally got it right. It was actually a throw from the outfield that struck Gonzalez. And Brock Holt went barreling into third base, and he was safe. Brock hitting .368. He has 8 RBIs. Of course, 4 came on a grand slam in Toronto. He's been such a steady outfielder, Jerry. I mean, he's never committed an error in 84 career games in the outfield.
That's amazing. You know, the guy moves as a second baseman originally and just goes out to the outfield and plays it like he's been there his whole career.
And that'll be ball 4. He hits every cutoff man.
Yeah, all the little things he does right. Gets good jumps on the ball. Doesn't try to overpower anybody with his arm. Just hits the cutoff man. Let them do the rest of the work. Yesterday in the ball game, you can see where he is, and that ball hooking down that right left field line. He's able to make the play. Very alertly gets up. Notice the runner is not even close to second base. A one-hop throw into Pedroia and picks up the double play.
He's now on at first base with 1 down. Blake Swihart, the batter. Wonder if the Red Sox might elect to do a little running here. Third baseman Machado way off the line. Swihart, a switch hitter, batting lefty, so he really blocks the view of the catcher. It's Wieters in this one. Not running, a line shot. Oh, what a diving play by Hardy, and on to first for the double play to retire the side. That's one of the better defensive plays you'll see by an infielder so far this season. At the end of 2-0 Sox.
The 2-0 lead. What a play by J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. You can see that little step to the right, then back to the left, and takes a base hit. Looked like a base hit. Swihart had up the middle. He just takes it right away. Of course, Gold Glove caliber infielder.
There's one of few of them that's in there for a called strike, and we're underway into the 3rd inning. And delighted to be joined by Alex Spear of the Boston Globe, joining us up here in the booth. Great to see you as always. Cab drivers were telling Jerry and I in Cleveland, why is this Ortiz guy retiring? What's up with that? Because he's still a monster up there.
It's a fantastic question, especially given how well he's been hitting to start this season. Holy smokes. He once again looks like he can be a guy around whom a lineup is anchored. 3 home runs in the first 7 games of the season. This is not a man who usually starts quickly, so to see that kind of burst out of the gate is pretty interesting.
There's a foul ball at home plate off the bat of Rickard, the rookie, who is 0 for 1 in this one. So the question is, when you go downstairs and you're in the Red Sox clubhouse, do you ever have that urge to kind of amble up to David and go, David, tell me you're not retiring. I'll break the story. I'll be the one to do it. I mean, do you think there's a chance he's thinking about maybe going back on this?
Well, I remember vividly a conversation about 6 or 7 years ago when, in fact, I remember David Ortiz kind of walking away from a group as he was in the middle of a hot streak and saying, I can tell you one thing, there is no way, he said it colorfully, there is no way that I'm going to be playing baseball when I'm 40 years old. Well, I guess he's changed his mind once, but the work that he's put in to get to this point, I think that, you know, as perfect as the ceremonies came off for him personally yesterday.
In there for strike 3. So Buchholz fans the leadoff man, Rickard.
I think that this is a decision that he's very much at peace with. He's thought about it a lot.
You know, so much attention is paid to opening day, and we saw something yesterday. Dave and I were talking about it just a while ago that you may not see the rest of the year. It's a game where David Price starts and Kimbrel can't close the game out. I mean, you may not see that the rest of the season.
8 runs between those two guys and their 6 innings of work. That's, I mean, okay, so Craig Kimbrel for the first time in his career gives up a home run with multiple guys on base. David Price for the first time in his career gives up more than 3 runs in a start at Fenway. I would say that if you do see it again, then a lot of people are going to be very concerned around the Red Sox organization. What the heck is happening here?
A dangerous lineup. Here's another guy. Manny Machado had 35 home runs last year, already 3 in the early going this season. So they can hang a lot of runs on you. But you know what? The Red Sox are doing the same thing, and it's one of the, Jerry and I talk about it virtually every night. This is not a boring baseball team. Now the pitching has to get better, the starting pitching in particular, but it's a team that'll come back. It doesn't feel like it's ever out of a game. That makes them really fun to watch.
They've been playing pinball in the early stages of the season. It's been pretty interesting. When you're looking at already 5 games in which they've scored 6 or more runs, that's atypical. I think that leads all of Major League Baseball at this point, and it's something that matches their, at least dating to 1913, their team record. So they've been an explosive offense early on because the pitching hasn't been great. It's been somewhat reminiscent of a year back like 2003 when that team was never out of games and just kind of brought thunder on a regular basis. We'll see whether that continues, but it's been an interesting start, to say the least.
Well, Dave Dombrowski was here inside our booth tonight doing some hits on NESN. He did not look overly concerned about what might happen with Price and Kimbrel pitching in the same game the rest of the season. He knows how unusual that's going to be. A little flare out to left. Brock Holt, a hard charge to the line, but he runs it down for the second out.
Dave Dombrowski has been, I had a conversation with him right before we left Cleveland about how much of, how much of a sample of the season he needs to see before he feels like he has a firm evaluation. He said that Sparky Anderson taught him that roughly 40 games in a season is about the point at which you start to think you've gotten enough to make judgments on people. The weather has gotten good enough to be able to get a read on what kind of pitcher you have in that given moment. But the idea of judging, for instance, a Price on one bad start or a Clay Buchholz based on his poor first start, he suggested would be a little bit outrageous, basically, at this time of year.
Chris Davis, the batter here, with 2 down as we chat with Alex Speier of the Boston Globe. The Red Sox ahead 2-0 on a David Ortiz home run into the bullpen in right field. And Big Papi with his 3rd. His pitch number 47 for Clay. When you're looking at Buchholz over the winter, and I know how great you are with the analysis and breaking down projections, what were you thinking about Clay as far as the season he was going to have?
With Clay Buchholz, what we know about his career is that there is a wide array of possibilities based on whether or not he's going to be healthy and whether or not he's going to be feeling healthy enough to be an elite pitcher. Everyone knows that there's elite potential in there. He's a two-time All-Star for a reason.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, but what we don't know is whether or not he's going to be able to kind of feel in sync on the mound in order to be able to go on one of those prolonged runs where he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. But I do think that it's possible to kind of undervalue Clay Buchholz's career. Over the course of his career, he's been one of the best 5 pitchers in the American League East.
Popped into left field. Holt cruising over toward the seats, but it's off into the stands. I know even last year, where we didn't see him after like the second week of July, he had an 11 start run where his ERA was 2.02. He was about as good as we've seen him.
Last year, I thought that he was pitching as well as he ever had in his life. His feel for 4 to 5 different pitches, outing after outing after outing, was frankly incredible. It was almost Pedro-esque, not in terms of power, but in terms of the ability to just manipulate the baseball, carve up the strike zone, and leave both right-handed and left-handed hitters having no idea what was going to come at them. It was really impressive. And then, of course, the injury led to the, oh, he's injured again, which is fair because that's been a part of his career. But so dominance has also been a part of a lot of his career.
3-2 waved and it missed. He strikes out Davis. Alex, always a pleasure. We'll see you soon.
Good to see you guys. Thanks very much.
Alex for the Boston Globe. 2-0. The Sox have the lead on the Orioles here at Fenway. Red Sox coming up. Jackie Bradley along with Mookie Betts and Dustin Pedroia here in the 3rd inning at Fenway Park, leading 2-0 over the undefeated Orioles. Facing Mike Wright. Jackie, his first at bat against the right-hander. .235, no homers, 3 RBIs in the early going, but he did have 2 RBIs and a stolen base in the home opener. Jackie has 18 outfield assists and 10 double plays in his career. No other outfielder has been part of more than 7 double plays since the start of 2013. Did he go? He did not, according to third base outfield and Culbreth.
Interesting defense they have on Bradley. They play him as a dead pull hitter in the infield with the shift, but very much straight away in the outfield.
The 2-1. A strike.
Slider that time and a pretty good pitch to hit. I think Bradley'd like to have that one back again.
You picked up on this yesterday. I thought it was a great observation on your part that the Oriole outfielders, the way they align them, they pinch in all the time.
Yeah, they do, and especially here in this ballpark. It seems like more than any other club that comes in here, they try to take away the gaps. And they'll give you down that left field line because the worst that's going to happen down there is going to be a 2-base hit.
It's more profound the way that Buck Showalter does it against the Red Sox here at Fenway. Swing and a miss on the fastball, and down goes Jackie. Time now for our Dunkin' Donuts poll question. Who has the advantage in cold weather games? Text 1 for the pitcher, 2 for the hitter. Text your answer to 536-536. The message and data rates may apply. Visit NESN.com/terms for the terms and conditions and the privacy policy.
Well, you know what I'm going to say, right there.
Yes.
I think the pitcher has the advantage because he's moving all the time. I don't know. I can't imagine it's fun in cold weather pitching either. But I know it's not fun hitting.
Mookie Betts 0 for 1 tonight. Well, everybody says that. You know, the temperature gets to 35 and the game's starting.
Exactly, but I don't think pitchers like it too much either because they got to rub that baseball up. It's slippery.
Fouled off of Wieters. That really stung him. Says he's okay.
Yeah, gets him right off the top of the mask right there. Knocks that head back a little bit. Getting a little bit extra time now as Wright will make sure that his catcher is okay.
Buy some time for him. One man out. Fouled back by Mookie. We were talking about this the other day when a hitter in Cleveland came up with his first major league hit. Who gets the baseball? You said, well, you hung on to yours. First big league hit.
Yes.
Mookie gave his to his mom, Diana. And that'll be in there for strike 3. And he'll march away, a strikeout victim for the second time.
Now, Mookie didn't like that call. I don't blame him. This fastball looked like it might have been up, away, and off the plate. Wieters, did a good job with that because watch the glove. He doesn't move it back toward the plate just slightly. Sometimes when a catcher grabs that ball and then pulls it back to the plate, they won't get the call.
There's some catchers who are really, really good at that. And they can buy a bunch of strikes every year. Dustin Pedroia 1 for 1 with a single. He was aboard when David Ortiz cracked a 2-run homer into the Baltimore Orioles bullpen in the first inning. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Boston Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESN at DraftKings.com. A strike on Pedroia. That was at 93, right on the black.
Those are 2 tough pitches for strikes right there. I mean, both pitches on the outside corner, and Dustin could just shake his head at those.
Pedroia hitting .345. He is healthy again. That one right to the feet of Machado. And in time for the out. So the Red Sox go quietly 1-2-3 here in the third inning. Still on top 2-0. Season ticket holders experience the best seats, the best price, and benefits that Fenway has to offer. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, and you can still do it, visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877 Red Sox 9 today. Top of the 4th inning, 2-0. Red Sox in the lead. And Mark Trumbo, who will gratefully leave on the charter flight for Baltimore to get out of Fenway Park the way things have gone for him. But lead things off. He's singled in the 1st inning. At least defensively, he's actually swung a very good bat. And that one's going to drill him. Hit by the pitch. He will take his base. And nowhere to hide on that one.
No, nowhere to go. That one's just follows you, and you can't go back. You can't come forward. You just got to kind of take it in the ribs, and that stings. Tried to get that fastball inside that time, and obviously way too inside the Buckholz, and not much padding in that area.
So Trumbo is aboard the hard way, and that'll send up Matt Wieters, who struck out 1st inning after striking out all 4 times yesterday, hitting 190. High towering fly into right field, but not deep enough, and now Betts has to head toward the line as the wind really carried it. The runner will tag, and the throw will not get him. It'll be well offline, and so Trumbo moves up 90 feet.
That's a good base running play by Trumbo. You know, he knows that ball's not going to drop in. He knows that Mookie Betts has a beat on it. So what he does, seeing that he's going to be that deep, you see Betts changing direction. He goes back to tag up and gets himself in a scoring position. So that's a very heads-up base running play. If there's any doubt, you play it halfway. But once he knows that Betts is going to make the play, you tag and you get in a scoring position. Good base running play by Trumbo, and a good adjustment out there by Mookie Betts.
That wind really howling toward right from time to time. And here's Pedro Alvarez. And he has power. He took a walk in the 2nd inning. Baltimore so far with only 1 hit. Trumbo has that, a 1st inning single. And the fastball in tight for ball 1. Alvarez back in 2013 belted 36 homers and drove in 100 runs for the Pirates. 1 for 15 so far in the early going. You won't chase it. He also became the first player in history to record an RBI in each of his first 6 postseason games. He has found a new home with the Orioles here in 2016. And a 2-0 from Clay. A strike as he checked his swing, but it was in there anyway, according to Buckner.
Goes with a changeup on the 2-0 count that time. No fastball for Alvarez. Changeup away.
It's such a big pitch for Clay Buchholz, isn't it?
Oh, the changeup, and also to me the curveball.
Yeah, if he's establishing those early that he can land those for strikes, lefties and righties. This one popped up off third base. Shaw into the coach's box. 2 down. Time for our twisted but true fact. Fenway Park is the only remaining Major League Baseball park to have dirt coaches boxes and fungo circles. Twisted Tea is the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted.
I did not know that.
Of course, no one ever stands in them.
No, nobody does. No, and there's a rule about that. You know, you can see where the third base coach is playing now. If the manager on the other team complains about that, they can put him in the box. But both teams have to keep their coaches in the box at all times. So you very seldom see managers complain about it.
Right. You're right, though. I believe the rule is you've got to have 1 foot in it.
Yeah, that's the real. I mean, and you can have that enforced by the opposing manager, but you never see that happen.
J.J. Hardy here is 0 for 1 to fly to left field. Runner at second base, but 2 down in the top of the 4th inning. Red Sox in the lead 2-0 thanks to David Ortiz.
I'll tell you what bothers me more, if you look at it, the alignment of the coaches, is the first base coach. See where he's standing? You get a pretty good look at the signs from there.
Yeah.
You really could.
Probably the idea. I'm always fearful of the third base coach, though, and how close he is, because some of them will get, I swear, they're closer to the batter
than they are the bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, all it takes is someone to take a really late cut and lace one. And thank goodness they're wearing helmets now and have for the last few years.
Yes. I think that was a very good decision by Major League Baseball to make those coaches wear a helmet.
Yeah, me too. There was a death of a first base coach in the minor leagues, unfortunately, that prompted that. On a line drive, here comes the 1-2 pitch. Line down into the corner. That one slicing toward the pole, and that ball is out of here. It's a home run. That's a 2-run shot just inside the pesky pole by Hardy. And just like that, a tie game, 2-2. Now Hardy, who takes a big swing, 8 home runs last year, comes up with his first this season.
Yeah, fastball that's up and away. You can see it's about letter high. And just making contact with it, and it looks like it hits the top of the wall and goes over.
Now John Farrell is out to talk with C.B. Buckner right now. So is he talking about fan interference as a possibility?
Yeah, let's take a look here. Does anybody reach over? I don't think so.
Looks like they are going to want New York to take a look at this, though.
Let's take one more look and see where it hits. Well, there is a fan right there. It almost hit his hand. And maybe it did hit his hand. But his hand looked like it was on the top of the fence.
So this is under review now. It is going to be challenged. Home runs can be. Ground rule doubles can be. Fan interference, forced plays. Batter getting hit by a pitch.
That's a great shot we had right there, because I didn't see the hand the first time, and then when he showed that angle there was clearly a hand that came on top of the fence. If it's on top of the fence, I think it's going to remain a home run.
Yeah. Each manager gets one challenge. If he wins, he gets a second one. If not, his challenges are gone. After the 6th inning, moving into the 7th, the crew chief could call for his own challenge. All replays are looked at Major League Baseball's Replay Command Center in New York City. So they're taking a look. Balls and strikes cannot be challenged. What do you think?
I think the hand was on top of the wall. I think it's going to remain a home run. That's just what I'm feeling right now. But we'll see. They've been over there for a long time. I think what John Farrell was asking for was a review.
Yeah, because it's a crew chief review.
Yes.
Yeah, on this particular call. So let's see what they determine. They're going to keep it a home run, and this game is tied 2-2. So he gets his home run in the end, his first of the season. And so we're all even now. And that, of course, is the shortest home run you can hit in the majors. Here's Jonathan Schoop now. He's 0 for 1 with a fly to center. And he has homered 1 so far this season. Takes a big cut and a miss for strike 1. Very aggressive hitter, power hitting second baseman from Curacao. Hard ground ball, but gobbled up by Xander Bogaerts. And from the left of the bag, he'll gun and get him to retire the side. Hardy just got it out of here. He got enough, though. And we're tied 2-2. J.J. Hardy with a line drive just down that right field line and barely gone. The umpires did take a look at it. That's a crew chief review. Obviously, John Farrell asked for that, for the crew chief to take a look at that, and they did and decided it was indeed gone. And so we are tied up 2-2 in the last half of the fourth inning. Xander Bogaerts leading things off here against Wright. Routine ground ball to Hardy, who's a Gold Glover. 1 up and 1 down in front of David Ortiz. Try W.B. Mason's coffee service featuring the Keurig coffee system with Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods. Order by 11:30 a.m. and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason?
Yeah, J.J. Hardy's had a pretty nice night so far. Remember that defensive play he made early in the ballgame off Swihart? Then the opposite field home run. This guy's got a home run.
David Ortiz 2 for 5 yesterday in the home opener. And flicks that one foul. Back to his home run cut.
Ball hit very high by Ortiz on a ball that was above the belt, and when he hit it, you could see that Trumbo couldn't find it in the twilight, but then by the time he picked it up, it was too far anyway. Into that bullpen for the Orioles.
0-2 on Big Papi.
The first 2 pitches this at bat to Ortiz away from him.
First player 40 or older with 3 home runs in the first 7 games of his season since Hank Aaron in 1974. The Hammer. Hank Aaron said he learned to hit by hitting bottle caps flicked at him by a friend and swinging a broom handle. How on earth do you do that?
Got me.
That's hand-eye. 1-2 fouled away again by David.
Imagine the sweeping breaking ball you can throw with a bottle cap.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get the right grip.
Unhittable. Not for him, though. 1-2. Folks around the ballpark still talking today about the performance of Alex Ortiz, David's daughter. Wonderful rendition of the national anthem, bringing tears to David's eyes. What a moment that was yesterday. Down into the dirt now, 3-2.
And I was watching. Okay, we'll take a look at yesterday first. David Ortiz very emotional when he found out that his daughter was going to be singing a national anthem. He didn't know anything about this.
She's got a great voice. High fly ball again to right field, hit well, but Trumbo sees this one and it's well short. Number 2. David getting underneath that one. Hanley Ramirez next. Want to sit in the most iconic seats in baseball? You can. A limited number of Green Monster seats have been released for April. Prices starting as low as $25. Head to RedSox.com/Green Monster to find your tickets today. So 2 fast outs here in the fourth inning. Red Sox 2 and the Orioles 2. Hanley Ramirez is 0 for 1 with a fly to right field. Hanley off to a 10 for 26 start. He's tied for the American League lead with 4 multi-hit games. Bases empty, 2 down. Here in the last half of the fourth inning. Wright was a rookie last year. He deals down and away. In fact, he became the 9th Oriole pitcher in franchise history to toss a scoreless start in his major league debut. His first 2 starts were excellent, but his last 7 not so hot. His ERA jumped over 6 and wound up at 6.07.
Well, he's got that kind of fastball too that can really challenge people. Right time he threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle of the plate, right by Ramirez.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Hanley started the night .325 lifetime against the Orioles. 2-2.
I don't know if the hitters can pick it up. He can pick it up on TV. When he throws that changeup, his arm really slows down. Now that, if you're at home plate, it's probably too late to be able to see that. But he's got the same type of windup, but the arm really slows down on the changeup. And I'm sure that's very, very difficult to pick up if you're at home plate.
Fouled away. As a hitter, did you ever guess on a changeup and get a hit on it?
No. Matter of fact, I never looked for a changeup. Always looked for a fastball. I was a fastball hitter. It was foolish for me to look for anything else. It was just to try to adjust to it. Never looked for a changeup, and especially never looked for split finger fastballs because, they had to be in the perfect spot, like a bad one, to be able to hit it. But I'm a little, I wasn't a power hitter, so a lot of the power guys will sit on certain pitches.
2-2. Line shot, base hit. Hanley's on again. And another hit to right field.
Yeah, it's a good job. We've seen that over and over again with Ramirez this season. When he gets a couple of strikes on him, he is cutting down on his swing a little bit. We highlighted on the last road trip the little changes in his stance that enable him to do this. And he has been able to execute it fairly well. The leg kick not as high as it was and violent as it was last year. The bat is more on his shoulder than it was last year, and he has the ability now, instead of trying to pull everything, to take the ball the other way for a base hit.
Now, between 2007 and 2010, he hit .332, .301, .342, .300. And last year, .249. We really didn't see the best of Hanley.
Not at all.
Seeing a lot of it this season in the early going. Red Sox and the Orioles tied 2-2. Shaw 0 for 1 with a pop to third base. The bat goes flying on the foul ball. All the way down to the tarp. Pennant fever is going on right now at Jordan's Furniture. If the Sox and the Yankees meet in the League Championship Series for the pennant, you could win free furniture and mattresses. It's pennant fever, and it's going on right now. Go Sox. I'm going to make sure this one sticks. Travis is in a little bit of a funk here at Fenway. If you go back to last season, he's 0 for his last 19 at Fenway. Although generally hit the ball very, very well here last season in the games where he was up at the big league level. And that one makes him dance, and it ricochets to the backstop up to second. Hanley taking a wide turn, and now they're going to rule it hit him. And now they will send Travis Shaw to first base.
I thought I heard some contact down on the field, and you can see Buck Showalter at the top step of the dugout. But I originally thought this ball did hit Travis Shaw. You see, it's a breaking ball right there. Yeah, that gets him right off the ankle.
And also got the umpire off the ankle.
Yeah. So they can both take first base.
So first and second with 2 down. A couple of hit batsmen in this game, one on each side, and here comes Brock Holt. Red Sox trying to grab the lead back. Brock took a walk in the second inning. We're in the bottom of the fourth now. Into the dirt, stopped by Wieters. Brock 1 for 2 with an RBI in his career against Mike Wright. Not much of a sample to go on up and down this Red Sox lineup, but David Ortiz has now homered 3 times. Off of the right-hander. Here's the set. Off speed and a little bit low. First and second, 2 away. Blake Swihart would be next. And the 2-0 from Wright. Got a piece. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets, has the best seats at the lowest prices, all with a 200% guarantee. Treat yourself or someone special by visiting aceticket.com or by calling 1-800-MY-SEATS. Two and one. And that one is going to get him. Brock Holt hit by the pitch, and that's going to load the bases.
Now once again he tries the breaking ball, and the breaking ball bounces up to get Holt. So the Red Sox getting an opportunity here with 2 outs, a base hit, and 2 hit batters. See this ball just breaking down and in, and again it gets looks like the right foot of Brock Holt.
Wright in a little more than 44 innings last year, hit 5 men.
And those are extremely hard to get out of the way of because you're striding out toward the baseball, and all of a sudden the baseball is right on your foot.
So the bases are all loaded up here, and from improving your diet to the latest cancer treatments, learn all about stomach disease this month from experts at Bith Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Visit bidmc.org/yourhealth. So Blake Swihart can cash in. There's a man at every base with 2 down. He hit into a double play last time up on a great sprawling stab made by the shortstop, and he went on a swing and a miss there for strike 1.
Yeah, did change up that time. Swihart all keyed up with the bases loaded, and they pull the string on him on the very first pitch.
So far Blake with 1 RBI in the early going. Ramirez at third, Shaw at second, Holt at first, and a high twisting fly, but foul. Here goes Machado to the stands, but no room. So the count 0-2. Now the Red Sox trying to rally with 2 down. A single by Hanley Ramirez. Travis Shaw hit by a pitch. Same for Brock Holt. But now 0-2 on Blake. One and two.
Hanley getting way down that line at third base because Machado was way over. Playing Swihart to pull, so the bigger lead you get, the better, because on a wild pitch pass ball you can score.
Line foul out of play. Yesterday was the 5th time in 6 games the Red Sox have scored at least 6 runs. They have yet to be out hit in a game this season. Red Sox have reached double digits in hits 5 times in 6 games. The offense has definitely been there, with the exception of Toronto on the final day. The 1-2 coming. 2-2.
Well, right now everything has been away to Swihart. Let's see if they try to sneak something by him inside, but every pitch so far has been to the outside or off the outside corner.
Bases all loaded up here with 2 down.
Looks like they're going to stay away.
Chopper on the infield. Scope will go to first base and in time, and the Red Sox leave them loaded here in the 4th inning. On to the 5th at Fenway, a 2-2 game. WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC, Dennis Eckersley, Steve Lyons will break down the game. You'll hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. Well, the Red Sox and the Orioles in a 2-2 tie. And Ryan Flaherty, the kid from Portland, Maine, to lead things off. 0 for 5 on the season. Rickard and Machado after him. Baltimore so far with only 2 hits. Red Sox have 3.
I'm sure Buchholz knew Flaherty would be in the starting lineup tonight. A .389 career hitter coming into tonight's action. Buchholz did strike him out on a breaking ball in his first at bat.
The 0-2. And he got him again. This time with a fastball snuck in there. Second K of Flaherty.
Yeah, that's Buchholz's two-seam fastball, the one that starts inside and then comes back to the inside corner. You see it move, that little tail on it brings it back to the corner. Left-handed hitters tend to give up on that pitch, but you see that late movement.
One man out in the 5th inning. Rickard will step in. He is grounded out and struck out looking. Time to check in with the 3rd member of our crew. Let's go downstairs to Gary.
Well, guys, it only took an entire offseason for the fast guys on this team to subscribe to the fact that they are indeed fast. I'm talking Brock Holt. You see Mookie Betts being aggressive there on the base paths, and it's really a different philosophy that they've really bought into this season. How many times did we see those guys extend plays that would normally stop them at second base, but no, they end up taking 2 bags out of it? And talking to some of those guys, they were saying that in college they sort of get tested, and unlike the NFL combine where these players are running 40-yard dashes, what they do in college is they run 60-yard dashes, which is equivalent to 180 feet, which, simple math, that's essentially 2 bases. They don't have to do the turn, though, but I was talking to Jackie Bradley Jr., and he was saying what differentiates elite speed, the quote-unquote flyers like the Billy Hamiltons and the D. Gordons, those guys live in that 6.2 second, 180-foot range, while the Jackies and the Brocks and the Mookies of the world live in that 7-second range, which is still pretty impressive to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's still fast in my book.
For us slow guys, it's more than impressive. Absolutely right, Gary. What about Clay Buchholz? Doesn't he belong in there? He's always been fast. He was a football star in high school in Texas. He was clocked at 4.32 in the 40. No swing there. There were reports of an unsanctioned sprint challenge in the minor leagues between Buchholz and Jacoby Ellsbury. Remember that? I don't know if there's any truth to it, because neither one of them would admit it. But Clay can really fly. The 1-1 down and away.
It's funny, when I played, we never got tested for anything. I mean, it was just go out there, throw the balls on the field, and go get them. If you look like you can run, you can run.
If you look like you
they
can
didn't
run.
have clocks then.
The 2-1. Machado's 0 for 2. Hot shot, backing up Shaw. Long throw for him, but right there. Not a good stretch by Hanley. And they go 1-2-3. So we are at the midway point here in Game 2, still locked up 2-2. Time now for the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment. On this date in 1994, Scott Cooper hit for the cycle. Red Sox 22-11 over Kansas City. As Jackie Bradley cuts and misses, underway in the bottom half of the fifth. And a 2-2 tie, Red Sox and the Orioles. Baltimore 6-0. Red Sox coming in at 3-3. Jackie Bradley with a strikeout tonight, so he's 0 for 1. Mookie Betts on deck, and then Dustin Pedroia in the fifth. Trying to hold up, and did, according to third base ump Fielding Culbreth.
I think Wright would have liked to have that called a strike. It looked like it was a ball that was up and in on the corner, but not going in his direction.
He drops that in there. 81 pitches for Wright, 50 for strikes.
Now with 2 strikes on Bradley, Machado at third base moves way back.
Line shot, and he beat the shift out there into right field. So a nice start for the Sox here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, that's the way to defeat the shift. Hit the ball hard so nobody has a chance to track it down. Right on the line right there is right between the second baseman, shortstop. Bradley running the bases the correct way. Run hard until they make you stop. Get that big round to first base. If they bobble it, you can go off to second. If not, you go back.
Mookie Betts just trying to make good contact here. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Buck Showalter is just getting off the horn. As our director Mike Narachi showed us yesterday, the monitors are brand new inside the dugouts where you can see what's going on in the bullpens. High fly ball, deep left field, carrying back Mookie Betts, and that one is off the wall. Heading into third, Jackie Bradley. Here he comes, and the Red Sox have the lead on the double. Mookie driving in his 6th run of the season.
Now, Dave, 2 things on this. First of all, if that wind's not blowing out toward right field, that's a home run. And again, we see a pitch inside on Mookie Betts. It is awfully tough to throw the ball by him inside. And the other thing is the base running here of Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, he was able to read that that ball was going to be either gone or off the wall. He never hesitated at first base. Sometimes on a night like this, you know, those balls might fall a little bit short out there, but he made a great read at first base.
Well, he sure did. And for Mookie, an RBI double in front of Dustin Pedroia. So the Red Sox have the lead back. 3-2 here in the 5th. I think you're right, too. If that wind isn't gusting out to right field,
home run.
That's way out of here.
Home run.
Nobody out. Last inning, the Red Sox squandered a chance. They loaded up the bases and did not score. But striking quickly here in the 5th. That's a strike. You're going to get Dylan Bundy going in their bullpen. But back to that story about the monitors, if it's brand new inside both of the dugouts where the managers can see their bullpen and the opposing team's bullpen. But yesterday, the Orioles put a towel over the camera. And it's still there. They've tied it up, so all it is color bars. It's like TV at 4 in the morning. So a little gamesmanship. One and two on Pedroia. A .314 career hitter at Fenway Park. And now Wright will step off the backside of the rubber. Xander Bogaerts on deck. Red Sox trying to become the first team to beat Baltimore this season. High fly toward right, but that's going to fade foul.
Looked like Dustin on 2 strikes there was trying to move the ball the other way to try to get Betts to third base with less than 2 outs. Got himself a high fastball that time and trying to go to deep right field to advance Mookie Betts, but the ball going foul. And you see that ball up almost above the letters on Pedroia.
Mookie Betts leading at second. Ground ball to the right side. That'll advance the runner. Schoop up and over to get him, and Mookie Betts safely to third.
That's a good job right there by Pedroia. Very good job. Gets the fastball, the ground ball to second base, advances Betts in a close ball game to third with less than 2 outs. That's intentional too, right there by Dustin Pedroia. He was trying on his last 2 swings for sure to try to get Betts to third base.
Mike Wright's pitching line is brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 4 1/3. He's allowed 3 earned runs. He's up to 87 pitches. And Xander Bogaerts with the infield in now will climb in. He has struck out looking and grounded to short.
You know, Dave, this is a tough decision for a manager to make because you've got the infield in. Now you're tempted, obviously, to go on contact with 1 out because you got great speed at third base. But when you look in the on-deck circle, you got David Ortiz. So you may not be as likely to put the contact play on.
The 0-1 pitch. Boy, he had to stab at that. Wieters saved that one from going to the backstop.
That ball really sailed on Matt Wieters that time. That's a very nice play by the Oriole catcher. Saved the run.
Red Sox have grabbed the lead 3-2 in the 5th. Looking for more. Bounced up there, and Mookie went about a third of the way down. Throw back will not get him as it comes free of Machado anyway. Wieters with a quick recovery.
What a job by Wieters to have that ball bounce in front of him, and that's the difference of the run scoring or not. The ball gets behind him, the run scores. He's able to keep that ball in front of him up that first base line, and Betts had to scramble to get back to third base.
And reach around, yeah.
In foul territory, reach around.
Machado kept that right foot planted. 2-1. Floated foul again, so all even on Xander. David Ortiz, who has homered tonight, is on deck. And Wright with a 2-2. Not to be made. Time called. Xander receiving his 2015 Silver Slugger Award before the game. So that's a nice little thing sitting in his locker after the game. Here's the 2-2. Right through Wieters. Here comes Bogart. Here comes Mookie Betts, and he's in to score. And the Red Sox add another one. Mookie Betts with a terrific break from third base. So eventually a pitch we saw there that could eat up Matt Wieters.
Absolutely. I mean, it's only so many times that Wieters come up with a great play behind the plate, and that time he really had no chance of blocking that ball. It was a good bounce off the wall, and it actually made it closer than I ever thought it was going to be. But Betts with his speed, no problem scoring. Red Sox go up by a couple.
So the Sox ahead now 4-2. And 3-2 on Xander Bogaerts. It's a high fly ball twisting deep to left center. Rickard back. He's at the track and makes the catch. Xander just missed what would have been his first home run of the year.
Well, to me, I mean, there's another one that's going to be at least off the wall if that wind's not blowing out toward right field. That ball was hit very well by Bogaerts.
So here's David, a 2-run homer to fly to right field tonight. Two down, and he'll take one there. You know what this says? I am from Minnesota. I've been an admirer of you since 1997. I came to see you one last time. It's my dream to meet you. Please.
Very good, Dave. Translate all that. That's
one
pretty
glance.
amazing.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Por favor, I knew that was please, but
Just one more meeting and a ground ball toward the shift. But that'll do it as David Ortiz grounds out. However, the Red Sox are going to add a couple of runs, and they have untied the game. Now on top 4-2 over the Orioles. Sox moment honoring the 1986 Red Sox season in their 7th game in 1986. The Red Sox lost to the Royals 8-2. Second baseman Marty Barrett hit a solo home run for the Red Sox. Getting more offense in this one now on top 4-2 as we go to the 6th inning. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with you. Gary Striewski as well. Red Sox have out hit the Orioles 5-2 as Chris Davis will lead things off. He's walked and struck out. He takes high for ball 1. And it'll be Trumbo and Wieters, so that's 3, 4, and 5 in this power lineup. Davis hit 47 home runs last year. He rakes that one foul.
Out in front of the changeup that time by Buchholz, way out in front of it.
Middle game of a 3-game series. Sox will have Thursday off. And then the Toronto Blue Jays are in for 4, including Patriots Day. That will not be the end of this homestand because Tampa Bay is in for the first time this year. They'll be in for 3 games.
Yeah, long homestand for the Red Sox here in the month of April.
And 10 games before they travel again to Atlanta and Houston. And a 2-1 to Davis. He lets that one go into the dirt.
So we had Travis Shaw lit up as he has moved over to the second base side, and the reason they keep Pedroia back deep on the grass is the lane that they think that Davis is going to hit the most in is probably to Pedroia, and that's why they keep him in that spot because Bogart remains at shortstop.
That's a strike. I don't know. To me, my memory is Joe Madden was the first guy who started doing that regularly, moving the third baseman over like that, depending on the count.
Right.
Moving the second baseman so deep into right field on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
He goes the other way, taking aim at the wall, driving back Brock Holt. He's going to have to play it off the green. Davis will be held to a long single. That was well played with the throw back to Pedroia. So Davis has to be content with a base hit.
That gives you an idea, though, how strong Davis is. Now, we've seen a couple of balls hit out in that direction tonight that have just kind of died. Well, Mookie's scraping the wall, and then the one that Bogarts hit was hit very, very well. Davis just makes it look easy. He just strokes it to the opposite field, goes off the wall, puts on the brakes at first base. Two-seam fastball running away from him and just goes with it. I mean, that's not a bad pitch at all by Buchholz. Maybe a little bit higher than he would have liked, but it had a lot of movement on it.
Brock Holt taking it off the left field wall. So here comes Trumbo. He's singled and been hit by a pitch and come around to score. He was on base when Hardy hit the line drive that barely got over the low wall down the right field line near the pesky pole for what turned out to be a 2-run homer. The Red Sox wanted the crew chief to appeal it. C.B. Buckner and crew, Jim Reynolds and Fielding Culbreth and Manny Gonzalez, and they did get a review from New York, but they did not overturn it. Red Sox in the lead 4-2 in the 6th. And that'll miss down and in. Clay trying to win for the first time this season. Dylan Bundy still warming in that bullpen. He's thrown about 5 innings out there. Here's the 2-0 to Trumbo. A strike.
That's a good pitch by Buchholz. 2 balls, no strikes, and you know Trumbo's looking for the ball middle in. Instead, he gives him a cut fastball to the outside part of the plate. And you see the grip on the cut of the late movement, and that's not the kind of pitch you want to swing at when the count's 2 balls and no strikes.
Clay has only allowed 3 hits to a very good lineup. Scampering back in Davis. I wouldn't have bet he had 15 stolen bases.
Oh, that's a pretty high number
for a guy who hits home runs for a living primarily. Popped up. Here comes Hanley. He's glancing at Swihart. Swihart lunges and can't get it. So the young catcher cannot haul that one in.
Well, again, you know, and not trying to make an excuse here, but that's a giveaway right there, because that should be the first out of the inning. But you can see Swihart got a late jump on it. Then the wind takes it back out toward the first base. Now you wonder, should Hanley have called him off that one? Swihart seemed to have it all the way, but again, that wind playing a factor in the ball game tonight.
No error charge there. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Trumbo. And you got to be careful with him with his power. Low for ball 3. It's the 4th time tonight that Clay has put up a full count. Walked a couple of men early, but not over the last few innings. He did hit Trumbo with a pitch. Here's the 3-2 to the cleanup man. Fouled away sharply, and that got into those seats quickly. Clay Buchholz's pitching line is brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5+, 3 hits, 2 earned so far, 85 pitches. One would have to say a major step forward after his outing in Cleveland.
He looks much more aggressive in this game tonight, right from the beginning of the ball game. Pitches much sharper than they were in the game in Cleveland.
And mixing it up better. Is Davis at first, nobody out. Fouled back again. Tonight, after Red Sox coverage, NESN Sports Today. Well, the future of the Bruins coach will be debated. Plus, you'll hear more from Celtics players. They continue to fight for playoff positioning. NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Three-two, little dribbler foul, little cue shot off the end of the bat.
That's a good job right there by Trumbo, because that's a 3-2 changeup right there, and that's certainly not something you're looking for. Able to foul it off and gets a chance to see another pitch, but a very good pitch by Buchholz to changeup, and you can see it really had Trumbo fooled, but he was able to make contact to foul it off.
And the Red Sox, for the first time, Jerry, going to get bullpen activity. Noe Ramirez. Pitch count up to 87 now for Clay. A high fly ball left field. That one carrying way back there, and that ball is way out of here. Trumbo does it again, his second home run in as many days, and he has tied the game at 4. He had a long at bat in the end, a very successful trip to the plate.
Well, you talk about a very good at bat for Trumbo. I mean, remember the pitch before, the 3-2 changeup? He was able to foul this pitch off. I mean, this easily could have been an out, but he fouls it off. He gets a chance to see one more pitch, then he gets the fastball that stays middle in and takes it out of the ballpark a long way against that wind.
Here's Matt Wieters. He struck out and fly to right. 0 for 2. So starting over again, a 4-4 game. It's a minefield, this lineup for Baltimore. Up and down home run threats. Machado and Davis, and Trumbo, Wieters, Alvarez, Hardy, Scope. Wieters has not hit one this season. One ball and 2 strikes. Back to prove that he can be a free agent and cash in on the free agent market next year. He suffered that elbow injury and faced Tommy John surgery. That certainly reduced his value. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out in the 6th inning. And he skips it up there. So it's 93 pitches and counting for Clay. He has thrown 20 in this inning. And the 3-2. Hammered foul. Clay in his career at Fenway against the Baltimore Orioles has a 2.61 ERA as Ramirez continues to work in the pen. This one now 4-4. And that's going to be inside for ball 4. So the first 3 men have walked or have reached in this inning, and he's now walked 3. Now Trumbo hammering the home run as Carl Willis comes out. But before that, that pop-up, that foul ball that Swihart did not catch, allowing that at bat to continue. And moments later, that. Right up the top of that sign and totally out of Fenway. So Pedro Alvarez will be next. He has walked and popped out to the third baseman. So 0 for 1 tonight. Sox with 4 runs on 5 hits, and the Orioles 4 runs on 4 hits. Big part of their win yesterday was on the long ball, and they've hit 2 more home runs in this one. Foul tip to the mitt for strike 1.
Now the shift goes on as Travis Shaw goes into that spot between the first baseman and second baseman. Keep that double play combination in order of Bogaerts and Pedroia.
His pitch number 97 for Clay. fouled away off to the left.
That fastball consistently tonight has been about 90, 91 miles an hour for Buchholz. The cutter has been about 89.
Wieters on at first base after taking a well-earned walk. And 2 strikes on Alvarez. And a fly ball into left field. Holt is there, turning around now, and it's going to be off the wall. Heading into third base, Wieters, and the throw comes in. Runners will be at second and third. Alvarez with 2 strikes on him, taking aim at that fence, and here comes John Farrell. So Buchholz had pitched pretty well through the first 5, but here in the 6th inning, single, 2-run homer, walk, and a double. And John Farrell out to take the baseball away. Noe Ramirez coming on. We're tied up 4-4. Baseball in NESN is brought to you by Subaru Retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. By Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. By BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. And by T-Mobile, get Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE coverage in the last year. Well, the night is done for Clay Buchholz. And all of a sudden it took a drastic turn in this inning. A single, a home run, a walk, a double. He gives way to Ramirez. Here's Hardy, who's already banged a home run down the right field line. There's nobody out with 2 on.
And the Red Sox playing the infield, not completely in, but a few steps in from double play depth, trying to protect against 2-run scoring, but yet trying to hold that man at third base in the tie ball game.
Pumped in there for a strike on Hardy. J.J. Hardy, that stands for James Jerry. Very solid shortstop. He's won the Gold Glove 3 times. Has some power. He won't chase. Buchholz certainly could have used some help on the pop-up, but winds up exiting pretty quickly. Does not get it out in the 6th. Toward right center, charging on it, Betts. He dives, and Mookie Betts made the play. He made the catch. The runner tags at third. He is in to score. Wieters touching home plate. Alvarez down to third, and that'll make it 5-4 Baltimore.
Took a great play out there by Mookie Betts, but that's also very good hitting by J.J. Hardy, taking that ball to the outfield. He scores the run from third base, and he gets another man to third base with less than 2 outs. There's Betts. He actually stopped thinking that Bradley was going to make the play. Then he turned it back on, had to kind of dive for it, makes the catch, but 2 men do advance, the runner from third and the runner from second. Very close to being a collision out there. Here comes Wieters in to score the go-ahead run.
So the infield tugged in with one down and Schoop the batter with a runner at third base. He has fly to center and grounded out to short. Now the Red Sox are trailing for the first time tonight, 5-4 here in the sixth. 1 ball, 1 strike on Schoop. Line drive and caught by the lunging Shaw, and the runner will have to hold at third base. So 2 down, and the Red Sox with a chance to get out of this with only 1 run being scored in the inning.
Well, that's a big play, huge play by Travis Shaw, because it's a changeup, and changeups a lot of times you're thinking about that ball down the line. This ball goes to his glove side, and had to quickly make that adjustment to make the catch on a line drive and save a run.
Would be 1 additional run in the inning. 3 runs have scored so far. Flaherty the batter now, and they're going to go ahead and walk him. This will be an intentional pass. So that'll put him on at first and third, and they will challenge Rickard, the rookie, instead.
Flaherty in this game has struck out twice. That was against Clay Buchholz. Now with first base open, they put the lefty on.
Well, 2 down, and they're about to be on at first and third, as the Orioles have struck for 3 and now lead it 5-4. And there is ball 4 on Flaherty. Did you know that NESN is on Instagram? Be sure to follow us and keep up with all things Bruins and Red Sox. Visit Instagram.com/NESN and start following us today. And now Rickard to come up. He's had a quiet night, 0 for 3, including a strikeout caught looking in the third inning by Clay Buchholz, who has been charged with 5 runs. Rickard has hit safely in all 6 major league games that he has appeared in. 2 down and 2 on, and that's outside. Now the Red Sox have been forced routinely to come from behind, and it's happening again tonight. And the 1-0 with the runner at first going. It's a strike and no throw to any base.
No intentions of throwing either. They did not have a middle infielder covering the bag. They were going to let him run. The only option there is if the runner at third would have gone down the line deeper, there might have been a throw to third base. Watch the middle infielders. Nobody goes to cover second base. They had no intention of throwing through on a possible double steal.
And the 1-1 to Rickard. Little chopper foul. Like Bundy is still up in that bullpen.
Been throwing a long time.
He's like in the bottom of the 9th now. Tommy Lane has yet to throw a pitch in the Red Sox bullpen. Just starting to get going. Use the 1-2 to Rickard. Waved at and missed. He really helped Noe Ramirez there, and he strikes out. But Baltimore does score 3 times, and they have the lead 5-4 here at Fenway. Hello to the DD Perks loyalty program. It's how Dunkin' Donuts shows big-time appreciation to its loyal fans with great offers and perks like a free beverage when you join, another on your birthday. Enroll today at ddperks.com or on Dunkin' Donuts on the mobile app. The Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Now Mookie and Jackie talking about, I think, that near collision out there in the outfield.
Yeah, Mookie saying I took a step back and then had to come back in.
Andy Ramirez with a high pop toward right into foul ground. Davis, Scope, and Trumbo giving chase, but it's off into the stands. And Bundy is finally in the game. Dylan Bundy, the right-hander.
Long inning by the Orioles at the top of this inning. He was throwing at the beginning of the inning.
So Mike Wright went 5, and he can get the win. He did give up 4 runs, 5 hits. Hanley hits that one sharply to third base, gobbled up by Machado. 1 man away. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC, Dennis Eckersley, and Steve Lyons preview Joe Kelly's start against the Orioles and highlights and scores from around the American League East. Travis Shaw 0 for 1 and hit by a pitch tonight. It was a weird inning in the 4th when, with 2 down, Shaw was hit by a pitch, and moments later so was Brock Holt. That was after Hanley had singled, so the Red Sox had the bases loaded but did not score. Travis looking for his first hit of this series, and he takes it a little bit high. Bundy, another guy who touches 95, 96 on the radar gun for Baltimore. A strike.
Bundy's got that pretty good curveball. He's thrown a couple of them in this inning. One to Ramirez, this one to Shaw.
Travis having lots of issues with Baltimore pitching as he gets a piece of that one.
Well, you can see where they're pitching him. You know, a lot of pitches are away, and then when they're not away, they're up in the zone. That was a good low ball hitter.
The 1-2. Flicked foul. Brock Holt on deck.
That might have been the best pitch he's had to hit in this particular at bat.
Here's the 1-2. Little looper foul. He took a shot at left field. Now the kids have their David Ortiz bling tonight. Their 500 home run bling. Fly toward left again. That one down into the corner. And it's going to sail. It's going to be a fair ball. Flaherty very gingerly approaching that. And that's going to wind up a double for Travis Shaw. Just sacked down in that corner.
Now that's a break day for the Red Sox, because I think Flaherty, you know, he kind of gave up on this thinking maybe it was going to be foul. You can see him going toward the line, and he just pulls up, and that ball falls fair by a couple of feet. But I think he thought it was going to be a foul ball. So that's a break there to get a man in scoring position with 1 out in a one-run game.
Red Sox will take it. We've seen some very strange outfield play by the Orioles, haven't we, in this series? Very odd. Here's Brock Holt taking a ball low.
When I think of Flaherty, I think of him as a second baseman, an infielder, not a left fielder, because Brock Holt does the same thing.
Brock has walked and been hit by a pitch. So the tying run at second base with 1 down here in the 6th inning. As the Red Sox say thank you very much, and that'll be across for a called strike. And Bundy with a 1-1. Grounded to the right side. That'll advance the runner. Holt is out. Down to third base is Travis Shaw. There are 2 down. Time for a game break brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. And here's Tom Caron. TC, thank you very much. Here's Blake Swihart. He's hit into a double play and also grounded to second. Trying to pick up that run from third base. Mookie Betts scored on a wild pitch earlier in the 5th inning. So he came charging home from third. 2 down here in the 6th. That missed for a ball at 93 miles an hour. 2 balls, a strike on the Red Sox young catcher. Shaw edging off third. A wave and a miss to make it 2-2.
Very good change up there by Bundy. Shook off the fastball, shook off the curveball, wanted to throw his changeup and did. Threw a good one. Good location away from Swihart.
Now Robbie Ross and Junichi Tozawa side by side in the Sox bullpen. Ground ball toward the middle. Scope will scoop it and get him. So the Red Sox cannot get in that run despite the give double. And it's still 5-4 Orioles after 6. Strikeout hunger. For every strikeout by a Red Sox pitcher this season, Lexus donates $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. 7th inning coming up. 5-4 the Orioles, the lone undefeated team in Major League Baseball, 6-0. And they are out in front by 1. Noe Ramirez will remain on to pitch. It'll be Manny Machado hitting .407 to lead off. Then Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo. Trumbo has homered on consecutive days here at Fenway. He had a 2-run shot in the 6th inning. And Ramirez with a 1-0 pitch. Little flare towards center that'll find a home out there for a base hit.
Now with Davis coming up, let's see if they go to the bullpen. They still have Ross throwing out in the Red Sox bullpen. It looks like John Farrell is going to make the move to Robbie Ross.
So that'll do it for Noe Ramirez. And it'll be lefty-lefty. The dangerous Chris Davis coming up. Robbie Ross assigned to get him, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Lesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Back at Fenway, hey, we say happy birthday to Tom Werner, Red Sox chairman, celebrating a birthday today. We saw the cake on the way up.
Yeah, somebody did. I didn't see it, but happy birthday, Tom.
And Robbie Ross coming out of the bullpen. He has retired 8 out of the 9 men that he has faced. And looking to do it again against Chris Davis, who has gone 1 for 2 with a walk and a single and a strikeout. Nobody out.
This is a matchup that probably doesn't bother Davis very much. You see the numbers against Ross, 3 for 5 with a home run.
He started the night .333 with 2 home runs against Clay Buchholz, so he gets some swings against the Red Sox like that. And one of them won the game yesterday, 426 feet to center field. As you see Shaw moving over from third base to the right side. Davis had 5 RBIs yesterday, goes for the downs again.
Well, that ball yesterday by Davis, a fastball just about above his knees and a long way up on that batter's backdrop in center field.
Foul back. He's one of those guys that strikes you. He really doesn't care if he strikes out 200 times.
He knows he's going to get his amount of home runs and drive-in runs. So a lot of power hitters, especially with the power like Davis, I like that.
He swings a 35-inch, 33-ounce bat, and swinging that, he comes up empty for strike 3. So Ross gets him.
And stays with the breaking ball that time. No fastball for Davis with 2 strikes on him. Fastball off the outside part of the plate and chased by Davis. It's exactly where Ross wants that. That's a tough pitch for the lefty. You don't see it very well, and it's hard to stay off.
So 1 down in the 7th inning. The Orioles with a runner at first base, and here's Mark Trumbo, who has not been retired in this one. A single, he's been hit by a pitch, and he's cranked a home run as well.
Interesting at bat last time. The pop-up that could not be handled by the Red Sox did a good job fouling off a changeup by Buchholz to stay alive, and then of course the home run.
And the 0-1 pitch off the edge. Not been a ton of hits in this game, just 6 apiece. Trumbo's homered, Hardy is homered, and David Ortiz has homered. Bloop foul, back out of play, 1-2. The 2016 CVS Health Charity Classic features more than the nation's top golfers. Don't miss the Charity Classic benefit, the concert featuring Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence on June 28th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Charity Classic Fenway. Line drive into the corner. That's going to bounce and roll up against the Green Monster. Machado churning into third as the throw comes in. It's a slide-in double by Trumbo, who's hitting everything.
Yeah, what a night he has had. He's been on base 4 times in this game. Let's look at the pitch sequence. 4 pitches in this at bat to Trumbo. They start him off with a fastball that he's a little bit late on. Then they go to 2 breaking balls. Slider away, and then another slider that's going to be inside that he fouls off. Then he's all over this fastball. Fastball middle in. And hooks it right down that left field line for the double. So the Red Sox have to pull the infield in again, down by a run, 1 out.
Matt Wieters the batter. He has struck out, flied out to right field, walked and scored. Trumbo, by the way, with a single, a double, and a home run. Still has time for the cycle. He would be an unlikely candidate, but he only needs the triple. Flared foul.
Well, we saw Benji Molina do it here one day. Remember that?
Talk about unlikely.
Yeah.
One of the slowest guys in the history of Major League Baseball. And yet he did it. Now, if it hits the right spot in Fenway, you know, out there in the 420 mark.
You get it to 420, you got a chance. Even Benji Molina.
And the 0-2. Line shot, base hit. That'll score Machado. Here comes Trumbo rounding third. The throw will be cut. 2 runs in. Matt Wieters going to right center field. He drives in a pair.
Now, you talked about this lineup, and you talked about it yesterday, Dave. You talked about it again tonight, and they are awfully tough. I mean, there are not any outs throughout this lineup. They can put long ball up on you, drive men in with men in scoring position. Wieters taking that line drive up the middle to score a couple of runs.
And that makes it 7-4. Still only 1 down. Here's Pedro Alvarez. He's doubled, popped up, and taken ball 4, and he'll look at a strike. Now, once again, a Red Sox starter did not go deep in the game. And once again, the Red Sox facing a very stout offense. A trickler, Pedroia, will shovel to Bogaerts. That's 1, but not in time for the double play. So now 2 down. And that'll send up J.J. Hardy, who has driven in 3 runs in this game. 7-4 Baltimore. Hardy with a fly to left, a home run, and a sac fly to drive in a run. And Ross fires and misses the mark, down low for ball 1. Sox in the bottom of this 7th inning will have due up Bradley, Betts, and Pedroia. Skipped up there, knocked in front of the plate, and a runner will hold. No advance by Alvarez.
Sliding block there by Blake Swihart to keep that runner at first base. On the sweeping breaking ball by Ross.
The 2-0 from the lefty. A strike. Well, the Orioles getting 2 runs in the 4th, 3 in the 6th, 2 more here so far in the 7th inning. And a fly again down near the pesky pole on the run, and that ball is going to go out of the ballpark for the 2nd time in almost the identical spot. This one more of a floater for a 2-run homer for Hardy. What a night he's having.
Well, you're right. Twice going in that same direction. The first time, more of a line drive. This more of a fly ball for J.J. Hardy. 5 ribbies on the night. They wanted the pitch away. They got the pitch away, and he hits it the other way.
And barely out for the second time. That one down low for a ball on Schoop. So now 9-4 Baltimore. When you think of the Orioles, you think of a group that really mashes, like 420-foot home runs. Look at his first home run.
Line drive, more of a line drive that time, right on the top of the wall and bounces into the stands.
And this one kind of gently floated inside the pesky pole, and again barely out. Right back to Ross, and that'll finally end it. That's it for the top of the 7th inning, but the Orioles surge in front. They now lead it 9-4 at Fenway. Well, the Red Sox have a 5-run deficit to make up as we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning against the slugging Baltimore Orioles of J.J. Hardy. He's found the right spot. You got to give him credit. And he's done it twice. Tucking a couple inside that line and inside the pesky pole.
You know, Dave, we don't see him go to the opposite field all that much, too. A lot of times we see him pull the ball, but tonight going the other way for the long ball twice.
Jackie Bradley, hot shot, but Schoop with a backhand from the outfield. Throws low, and it's skipped, and the play is made by Davis. Time to check out the results of our Dunkin' Donuts poll question. We asked who has the advantage in cold weather games, and here are the results. The pitcher, the man moving around the most.
I thought the gap might be even wider than that, but that's a little closer than I thought it would be. But as I said earlier, nobody likes the cold weather.
One down for Mookie Betts. Mookie has struck out twice. He's also doubled in a run and scored on a wild pitch. 9 runs, 9 hits for the Orioles, 4 runs on 6 hits for the Red Sox. Neither side has been charged with an error. Into the dirt. Well, this Oriole team can really score. Second straight day here at Fenway. They have racked up 9 runs so far. It's been a strength of the Red Sox early on, but these guys are powering it over the fence. With the win tonight, they will be 7-0. Dustin Pedroia on deck here in the 7th inning. And too high. Mookie, a .315 career hitter here at Fenway. However brief his career has been. 3-1, and he popped the foul back out of play. Tomorrow, the Red Sox will be taking on the Orioles in the finale of this series. It'll be Joe Kelly against Ubaldo Jimenez. And then an off day on Thursday. And we'll see the Toronto Blue Jays again. See a lot of them.
4-game series with the Blue Jays again.
Getting very familiar. Popped up over first base. Davis and Scope there. And Scope makes a nice running play and then goes into the stands. He holds on for the out. Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC, Dennis Eckersley, Steve Lyons will preview Joe Kelly's start in Wednesday's series finale against the Orioles. 2 men away for Dustin Pedroia. He's up for the 4th time tonight. He is singled, grounded to third, and grounded to second. Pedroia has extended his hitting streak to 6 consecutive games. He takes a ball. Sox trying to string together some base runners. Get a big fly of their own to get back into this game. Pedroia was 2 for 5 in the home opener yesterday and made a great defensive stop as well.
From Bundy, we've seen 3 pitches so far. The fastball, he's got that curveball and also the changeup. Changeup he threw to Swihart successfully back in the 6th inning. Shakes off the changeup, shakes off the fastball, wants to curve.
And up and over the helmet. Had to duck down out of the way.
Looks like it slipped right out of his fingers there on the breaking ball. Now you can see the snap of the curveball, but it doesn't do anything except go over Dustin's head.
The 2-2 and a fly to center field, but that'll back up Rickard. And he'll make the catch. So the Red Sox will go 1-2-3, and we've wrapped up 7 at Fenway. It is 9-4 the Orioles. Red Sox baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By your New England Ford dealers. Ford, go further. Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. And by Hair Cuttery, smart looks and smart prices. On to the 8th inning. And that one looped toward left center field on the charge. Holt is going to drop between Brock Holt and Jackie Bradley. The throw to second base, the tag, and it is in time to cut down Flaherty. So the Red Sox play that one beautifully.
Now, 2 very nice plays on that. First, Jackie Bradley going into the gap and quickly getting rid of that ball back to the infield. And then a beautiful tag at second base by Dustin Pedroia. There's the backhanded play by Bradley. I think he's surprised he was going. Pedroia with a nice pick and a sweep. Now, did he tag him? Let's take a look. Looks like the Orioles, they may want to challenge this. We're going to have to wait and see. But there's Pedroia making a pick, swings around. Does he get him before the hand gets in the bag?
They are going to challenge it, so they'll look at it.
This will be the best angle. To me,
yeah,
looks like the hand's in.
Me too. I thought Flaherty got that hand in first. So they will take a look. We'll see if they wind up reversing it. The call on the field is out. But if they reverse it, it'll be a double and a hustle double for Ryan Flaherty. So we'll see what they come up with.
That's going to be a tough call by the umpires. Pedroia really sells this as he picks it, swings around. The tag comes down. Is it on the elbow before the hand's there? Very, very close.
Well, you know, when you look at it there, maybe the tip of that glove is on the elbow. Maybe it's there.
It could be there.
And if it's inconclusive, it'll be as called.
Right. It could be a dead tie right there. And if it's if that's the case, then they will keep. They will stay with the out call. That's about as close as you can get.
Pedroia with the lunge and the tag for the elbow. So they're watching that in New York. See if they have evidence enough to overturn it or keep it as is. And the call again at second base by Gonzalez is out. And the play is under review right now. 9-4 Baltimore here in the 8th inning. And Flaherty, the kid from Portland, Maine, graduated Deering High in Maine. In fact, he played quarterback on their 2003 state championship team that went 13-0. And he would later attend Vanderbilt University, just like David Price. Ryan is the oldest son of the longtime University of Southern Maine coach Ed Flaherty. All sorts of New England connections for Ryan.
I think the best look that we get at it is the look from the outfield. This one right here. And even with that, it is so tough to tell.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's just stick with the out.
Well, it looks like to be a dead tie to me, so I say, yeah, stay with the out.
Well, now they're taking off the headsets. They'll see what they came up with. And out is the call. So Flaherty has to leave the diamond dejectedly. You know, he's convinced he got in there. I think it was just inconclusive, wasn't it?
I believe, yeah, it was too close to call. I mean, we had very good looks at it from that second angle, and it was very, very difficult to tell. I mean, it looked like the tag got on the exact same time as the hand got on the back.
Yeah, it did. Well played by the Red Sox, however, defensively. Rickard here 0 for 4. He has struck out twice, grounded out twice. One man out in the 8th inning for the Orioles. They have out hit the Red Sox 9-6, and again the Red Sox have not been out hit by an opponent yet this season. Across the outside edge to make it 2-2. Ross, the lefty. Hard ground ball, and underneath the glove, it'll be a base hit. Past Xander Bogaerts, so Rickard is on. Let's take a closer look at what's ahead for the Boston Red Sox. Tomorrow's starting pitchers, Jimenez and Kelly. Showing his career against them 1-2. Look at the high ERA by Jimenez against the Red Sox, 7.26. This closer look brought to you by FW Web. Selection, expertise, solutions. More at fwweb.com. Now Manny Machado 1 for 4 with a single in this one.
Now that base hit by Rickard just that got by Bogaerts. That keeps the hitting streak for him at 7 games now.
So he has hit in every major league game he's ever played in.
It's going to be a good feeling, right? This stuff's not that tough.
Not that tough. It's probably like, you know, I face tougher stuff at AA. It's funny how it can turn on you, though, once they find out where those holes are, if they can find them. And if you've got them, they're going to find them up here. And he's swung a really good bat so far, and they're delighted with him. Filling out that leadoff spot for Buck Showalter. Rule 5 draft pick from Tampa Bay. One ball, one strike, 1 on, 1 out in the 8th inning. And that one up and in all the way to the backstop. That'll advance the runner. So Rickard advances 90 feet.
And Robbie Ross in his 2nd inning. A lot of times we see him just for 1 inning of work, but here in his 2nd inning, that ball way up and into Machado, gets by Swihart. Another man in scoring position.
Time is called here with 1 man out. A strike to the outside part of the plate.
After a fastball that goes inside, the Machado, a backdoor breaking ball, one that the right-hander will quit on, and it just picks up the outside corner. Tried to double up on it, but that time not close to the edge.
Well, nobody working in the Sox pen or in the Oriole pen. And a fly ball into right field. Mookie Betts moving in a bit. The runner back to second base. So 2 down. Chris Davis marching up, and tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC, Dennis Eckersley, and Steve Lyons will be joined by Red Sox President and CEO Sam Kennedy live on Yawkey Way. DCU Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Now 2 away. And the batter, Chris Davis. He has a single tonight. He's also struck out twice and taken ball 4. He did charge a pass ball, by the way, when Rickard went to second base. And the 0-1. Got a piece of it, nothing in 2. This Let's Motor Player profile presented by BMW Mini. Chris Davis yesterday against the Red Sox, 2 for 5 with a homer, 5 runs batted in. He has 8 career go-ahead home runs in the 9th inning or later since 2013. That is the most in the majors. He went a long way. He has outstanding power. Free agent in the offseason. Did not sign until January with the Orioles. Signed a big money contract. He's been a good fit for them. Two out. Rickard leading at second base. 8th inning. 9-4 Baltimore. And up top.
Talk about being a good fit. I mean, what a ballpark for him to swing the bat in. Camden Yards in Baltimore. Played the 81 home games there.
You don't hear many hitters complain about Camden Yards.
No.
Cozy. Great hitter's park. Tried to check, but did he? The appeal, and he did not swing, says Field and Culbreth. 2-2. They beat the Red Sox with a home run yesterday. Last September, he did it with a 13th inning walk-off single in a game. 2-2 out of the mitt of Swihart. That's going to roll to the backstop and advance the runner again. That'll be a wild pitch.
Ball's supposed to be inside, way outside and high, and Swihart can just barely get a glove on it. Runner moves up another bag to third base. Full count, 2 outs. Tommy Lane.
Inside at the elbow for ball 4. That'll put him on at first and third. Time now for our tools of the trade presented by Stanley. Trumbo's had a big night. 2-run homer, double, single. He's also been hit by a pitch and scored a run.
2-run home run, really a blast to left field off the top of the sign out there. Then a double in his next at bat right down that left field line. So a big night for Trumbo. Been on base 4 times tonight. Base hit by a pitch, home run, and double.
Stanley is the official tool of the Boston Red Sox. Carl Willis out for a mound visit. There are 2 down. The Red Sox have been unable to get Trumbo out. Guy who also hit a 3-run home run off of David Price yesterday. And he socks that one foul for strike 1. Oh, 1 pitches outside. Now officially for Major League Baseball on that play at second base under review, it's exactly what we thought. It was not definitive enough. They could not tell if on the replays they saw the hand got to the base prior to the tag by Dustin Pedroia, so it was not overturned. So the call held as out.
And the more we looked at it, I think the more convinced we became that it was pretty much a tie.
2-1 popped up and a short right. Looks like the Red Sox will finally get Trumbo as Mookie Betts puts it away to retire the side, and 2 men will be stranded. We go to the last half of the 8th. 9-4 Orioles. For car enthusiasts, Nesson Fuel, your new home for everything automotive, including exclusive driver interviews, race recaps, and more. Visit NessonFuel.com and follow Nesson Fuel on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram today. Bottom of the 8th inning, 9-4 Baltimore. Red Sox pitching again, taking a hit. Xander Bogaerts chasing the first pitch. He pops that one foul. Davis ranging, but can't get it into the camera well. And the changes. Rickert moves from center field over to right field. And Jones is the new center field. It's the second time that he's entered this series very late as a defensive replacement.
Yeah, it must be swinging the bat that's causing him the problems, because he's able to come in defensively over the last 2 games.
He's been playing with a sore rib cage off and on, but not hitting. Xander goes up the middle, a glancing shot knocked down by Schoop, and he'll have no play. So Xander is on with a base hit, his first of the contest. He's now 1 for 4.
Tough play there for Schoop. That ball was hit very hard, and it looked like it was hit with some topspin too when it hit that dirt. That ball just skipped right by Bundy, the pitcher, and really not much Schoop could do with that at all. Even if he comes clean with it, I don't think he gets Bogart at first base.
So a base hit for Xander brings up Big Papi. David is homered in this one. Way back in the first inning. Jerry, do you remember way back in the first inning?
Yeah,
Things were looking up for the Red Sox on that 2-run homer.
Yeah, that's the one that Trumbo couldn't see.
And lost it. And David lost it into the bullpen. So it really didn't matter. Since then, Papi has flied to right and grounded to short. Ortiz hitting .320 with 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. And the 1-1 from Bundy. And knocked foul out of play. On deck, Hanley Ramirez. Red Sox trying to give the remaining fans a little bit of a thrill here with a late rally. That's going to take 5 runs to tie. Boy, Bundy's been out there a long time. 37 pitches as of this next one. Fouled away by David. I think he threw about 7 innings in the bullpen before they brought him in.
Yeah, and he's done a nice job mixing up his pitches. His fastball, his curveball, his changeup.
That's McFarland, TJ McFarland, the left-hander, as he tosses in their bullpen. .37 pitches for Bundy is a career high, by the way. That one ran in right on the knuckles of Big Papi.
Fastball at 93 miles an hour from Bundy.
Nobody out, a man on here in the 8th. And the 1-2 to Ortiz. He continues to fight those off.
And just about everything in this at bat has been away from Ortiz. Only 1 pitch from the middle in. And you see it on the pit zone.
Here's the 1-2 on the way to Ortiz. There's a shot drilled to the deepest part of the ballpark, way out there into the triangle. That'll bounce against the fence. That's going to score a run. Bogaerts about to touch home plate. It's another RBI. David Ortiz with his 3rd in the game. That makes it 9-5.
Well, you can see why they were trying to stay away from David Ortiz. Once they got that ball out over the heart of the plate, Ortiz runs it down to 420. Able to hook this ball that's starting to tail away. And Ortiz picks up his 3rd RBI of the night.
Bogaerts coming in to score all the way from first base. David with his 4th double of the season. 293 at Fenway Park, 3rd most all time. He has passed Wade Boggs. Nobody out. Here's Hanley Ramirez. He's 1 for 3 with a single to right field. He's also flied to right and grounded to third. That's a strike. Orioles 9, Red Sox 5 in the 8th inning. Hanley hitting .393. Travis Shaw on deck. Pops it up, but that'll twist foul over the top of the Red Sox dugout. And it's 0-2 on Hanley. He has 11 hits in the first 7 games. If he gets another hit here, it'll be the 5th time he'll have at least 2 hits in a game. Here in 2016. And Bundy's 0-2. Broken bat pop up. Davis right around the bag will make the catch. David Ortiz holding. Here comes Buck Showalter. So the bullpen gate is open for the Orioles. That'll do it for Bundy. Through a career high 43 pitches. He gives up a run in this inning. So they dip into the pen 9-5. The Orioles have the lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning with 1 man out. We'll be back in a moment. Baseball on NESN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Red Sox trying to rally here in the 8th inning. They do have a run in on a single and a double by David Ortiz out to the 420 mark. TJ McFarland, the left-hander who last year appeared in 30 games, will make an appearance here. 40 1/3 innings last year. He did give up 52 hits, including 4 home runs. And Chris Young will hit now for Travis Shaw. And 1 for 6 in his career against this southpaw. Ortiz at second base. A run in, 1 out. The Sox have pulled within 4. And McFarland deals, and it's too low for ball 1. Young at the moment hitting .143, no home runs. He's always had very good power. Chris was with the Yankees last year, hit 14 home runs. Down and in.
And it looks like every time John Farrell gets the opportunity late in the game with a lefty in there, he's going to pinch hit. Chris Young. I mean, Young has those lifetime numbers against left-handed pitching.
Did it yesterday in the 6th inning. Foul tipped as he really went for it there on a fastball.
Challenge time. 2 balls, no strikes. McFarland with his best fastball, and the big swing there by Young, foul tipping it into the glove of Wieters.
And is Darren O'Day, the right-hander, throwing in the bullpen for Showalter now. Here's the 2-1. And a high fly ball to center field. Jones is back on the track, and he'll make the catch. David Ortiz back to second base. Earlier tonight, Jones was wearing the giveaway for Big Papi tonight, the 500 home run medallion. So they're sharing a bit of a laugh. And then as soon as David hit a home run into the bullpen, Jones took it off.
Off it came, right?
Most everybody else wearing theirs. They're styling with them.
And they look very expensive. They really do.
You know, from a distance.
Yeah,
they do. You get up close and then you're like, that's, you know.
You got 2 of them to take home. I'm giving you mine.
I am taking home. Can I have yours?
Yeah.
Brock Holt, the batter. This is earlier. Jones inside the dugout. That was before David hit one into the bullpen for a 2-run homer. But the Orioles have rallied and they lead it 9-5. Brock Holt has walked, been hit by a pitch and grounded out to second. A broken back ground ball to Scope. And that'll do it. The Red Sox get only 1 here in the 8th inning. So we are on to the 9th inning at Fenway. 9-5 Baltimore. The 2016 Red Sox season is underway, and be sure to download the Sox schedule directly into your favorite calendar program. You can visit NESN.com/schedule and download today. Baltimore trying to go to 7-0 on the season. They're on top 9-5 as we go to the 9th inning. Young stays in the game to play left, and that'll move Brock Holt to third base. And Tommy Lane makes his first appearance here in 2016. Tommy last year appearing in a lot of games, 64 games, 2-1 with an ERA of 3.97. 47 2/3 total innings. And the 1-1. Wieters did some damage his last at bat in the 7th with a 2-run single. He scored a couple of runs tonight. Trumbo has a home run. J.J. Hardy has 2 home runs over the short fence and right near the pesky pole. 2.
Hey, look at that 7th inning that you were talking about. That's really where the Orioles started to break this thing open.
Yeah, they got 4 runs. 3-2 to count. And the payoff pitch now from the left-hander. And he gets him. 1 man out in the 9th inning. We want to congratulate our colleagues at NESN for their 16 Emmy nominations announced tonight. Among the shows nominated, NESN Clubhouse and NESN Next Producer. And also Tom Caron received a nomination in the program host category, and he should win it in a walkaway.
Good luck, TC.
Winners will be announced on June 4th. Congrats to the great Tom Caron and everybody at NESN. Alvarez has walked and doubled in this one. Red Sox in the bottom of the 9th inning will have due up Swihart, Bradley, and Betts. The Baltimore lineup up and down, filled with guys who grip and rip. They really go for it. Clay Buchholz did not get it out in the 6th inning, so he wound up going 5 officially as Alvarez goes down. Well off that pitch, he strikes out.
Yeah, it looked like he was not comfortable that whole at bat against Tommy Lane. That ball was a breaking ball, not even close to being a strike, just chased by Alvarez. That's a swing there where you just don't pick up the baseball.
So here's Hardy again. And if you're Mookie Betts, you're tempted to move way over near the pesky pole right here. Just sit there.
Yeah, maybe stand right near the pole.
So a pair of home runs that way tonight. And he's driven in 5 runs. He also has a sacrifice to plate a man in the 6th inning. So he's had a big night. The Orioles shortstop, and they lead it 9-5. And Lane with a 2-0. That finds the mark. The 2-1 pitch. Hard ground ball, and snagging that, Xander Bogaerts. And that's a 1-2-3. Side retired. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Orioles trying to go to 7-0 on the season. They lead 9-5. game summary brought to you by Xfinity. The Orioles getting a pretty short start themselves out of right, but he's in line for the win. Hardy with a pair of home runs. Trumbo has hit another one. Buchholz only going 5 official innings in this one. He would be on the hook. Not exactly a headline if you don't get pitching. It's a long night. Red Sox have had another one. They have been able to rally. John Farrell's been delighted by that in past games because the offense has been on the attack, but you can't keep doing that to your offense night after night.
Exactly right. That's not the kind of feeling you want to get, you know, as a ball club. The fact that you got to come out and score 7, 8 runs to win a game.
Look at that ERA for the rotation. Up to 7.32. A Treckler going to be a tough play. Machado throws and safe at first base. Swihart runs well. He's got himself a base hit.
Yeah, he does get down that line pretty well. And Machado, a very, very good third baseman, and just made a very nice play. Coming into bare hand this ball, you see how deep he is and how far he has to go. And he makes it very close at first base, but Swihart hustling down that line is going to be able to beat it.
The 9th hit of the night for the Red Sox sends up Jackie Bradley, who has singled, struck out, and grounded out tonight. And been part of a fine play to snag a runner at second base. Chopper, Hardy to the bag for an out, and that's 2. Double play.
Well, what a night J.J. Hardy has had. I mean, you think about it offensively, it's been a fabulous night for him, but also defensively. Remember the play he made on Swihart early in the game, diving up the middle to take away a base hit. That was a nicely turned double play by Hardy. He's having a great night.
2 homers, 5 RBIs. Here comes Buck Showalter. Well, he wants Darren O'Day with Mookie Betts coming up, so he'll take out the lefty and bring on the right-hander. Baltimore 1 out away from starting their season 7-0, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Teams to be a live studio audience for NESN Clubhouse. Visit NESNClubhouse.com, click on Studio Audience, and enter your son or daughter's team. The experience includes a pizza party before the show and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a part of the studio audience. A pitching change here for the Orioles. They'll bring a right-hander and a tough one in Darren O'Day with that funky delivery to take on Mookie Betts. 2 down, 9th inning. 9-5 Baltimore. It's the second straight day the Red Sox have allowed 9 runs to be scored. First 2 home games. That was not the plan, Jerry Remy.
No, it was not the plan, and it makes it awfully difficult, you know, to come home to your home ballpark and get those type of results.
Line shot toward the alley in left center. That's going to split the outfielders and go all the way to the wall. Mookie churning into second, and he'll apply the brakes right there. It's his second double tonight.
Yeah, a couple of doubles drove in a run in the 5th inning with a double, and this time he was thinking about 3, but down by 4 runs here late in the ball game and 2 outs. Your best holding up at second base. There goes Betts. He knows he's got a gap there. He knows he's got at least 2. And with his kind of speed, you always think about maybe 3, but no, holding up at second base. Don't want to take any chances at all, obviously, in this situation.
Well, it's a good sign. He has 5 hits in the 2 games here at Fenway, and he had really been scuffling on the road trip.
Yeah, especially on that last part of the road trip.
And that sends up Dustin Pedroia with 2 down. He is 1 for 4 with a single tonight, hitting .313. A strike. We are in the bottom of the 9th inning, 9-5 Baltimore. They are going to get their closer going, Zach Britton, just in case. He might have a chance at a save opportunity tonight. Here comes the 0-1. Pedroia tried to check one down on a knee, but it's a swing and a miss, and now it's 0-2. Xander Bogaerts hoping to bat tonight one more time, at least. Red Sox have gotten to double-digit hits again. Here's the 0-2. He wouldn't chase it.
See that unique delivery by O'Day. He'll drop down to the side with both the fastball and that slider. The slider almost rises as it comes to home plate because of the arm angle. There's that breaking ball. You see the rotation on it. Away from Pedroia.
It's like a frisbee. 1-2. Line toward right, but foul. O'Day, not a hard thrower, but he's cagey and he's deceptive. And he throws strikes. 9-5 Baltimore. Mookie Betts after the double at second base. 2 down. Spoiled again by Dustin Pedroia. Well, the Red Sox had a couple of leads in this game. 2-0 and 4-2. Baltimore would score 3 times in the 6th, 4 in the 7th. Behind J.J. Hardy and Trumbo, who homered again. Pedroia is 6 for 20 in his career against O'Day. Puts that in play. Machado will gobble it up, throw on, and he held the bag for the out. First baseman Davis able to stay right there for the 3rd and final out and the last out of the night as the Orioles win this one 9-5. Red Sox pitching a real problem in this series once again. Now there is going to be a challenge here. John Farrell wants him to take a look at that last play and whether or not Davis, I assume this is it, held on to the base. So we are not quite done yet.
Well, let's take another look at it on replay. Davis there. To me, it looks like he's got the corner of the bag as he goes to the backhand to make the catch. Take another look from the different angle. I think it's going to probably stand up right there. It looks like he's got the inside part of the bag with his foot. And the ball clearly in the webbing of the glove.
It can be difficult to overturn that.
Orioles already congratulating themselves in the middle of the field.
So this play is under review, the last play of the game, perhaps. And if they do uphold it, it's the third and final out of the inning, and the game will be over 9-5 Baltimore, and the Orioles would be 7-0 on the season, and the Red Sox would dip to 3-4. We've had a couple of reviews here tonight. They do tend to come in bunches, and tonight's one of those nights. Out, and the ball game is indeed over. So that's it. TC 9-5, the final.